Welcome to Table Talk. Today we have Ms. Martina Rush, our Student Services Specialist. Ms. Rush, thank you for joining us for Table Talk today.
Thank you, Dr. Bethea. Good morning.
Mrs. Rush, Table Talk is a platform where we are promoting talks, togetherness, and transparency. And we know that as we've transitioned back into the reopening of schools, one of the most important things is the social, emotional, and well-being of our students. And I know that you've done a lot of work in that area. And so we just thank you for being with us today to highlight social emotional learning and the various initiatives and things that are taking place in the district to support our students. So again, good morning and welcome, Mrs. Rush.
Good morning again, Dr. Bethea, and thank you for allowing me to just share out the work of, and I have done some work on this, but it has not been a solo effort. It has been with many valuable team members who comprise the social and emotional learning design team for our district. Of course, Micaiah Jordan, principal at Easterland Primary School, as well as myself, we chaired that design team. We had very valuable input and a lot of hands in the work of the recommendations that we believed were good for all of the schools, not just the schools, but the people that make up the school, the students and the adults in our district. And I cannot share or even begin to discuss the work today without highlighting and emphasizing that it was a team effort. Dr. Deidre Bowden, school counselor at Marion High School, Brandy Ford, school counselor at Easterland Primary School, Adrian Johnson, reading coach at Creek Bridge STEM Academy, Farrah Owens, principal at the Academy of Early Learning, Paula Rabin, lead teacher at Jonathan Middle School, Dr. Cassandra Strickland, director of federal programs, Mr. Leon Sturkey, director of operations, and I know that he was on last week, and Cheryl Warren, coordinator of teacher evaluation, professional development, Ms. Gretchen Whitman, coordinator of special services, and Ms. Adriana Wingard, school counselor, Creek Bridge STEM Academy. None of this work, it took the expertise and the knowing of everyone and to bring the best of what we knew while we went out as well and did lots of research to make sure we were recommending practices to our schools that were evidence-based and research-based as well, and would yield results that were good for everyone as we're dealing with this pandemic. I would like to highlight, as you said, Dr. Bethea, some of the things that we have done, and it started with training, and it was an SEL boot camp to ensure that we were all speaking the same language and that we could talk about SEL fluently and confidently, although we are still in a learning curve. We do have an initial understanding, and we continue to grow and to go with the practices that we believe are good for Marion County School District. I am going to share my screen at this point in time. And again, in the past few months, social emotional learning has taken on a renewed focus in Marion County School District. With the closing of schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic, students and adults, and I want to emphasize that SEL is not just for students, neither is it just about students. It's for students and adults. They were suspended in a state of uncertainty. We were filled with anxiety, stress, and undeniable fear. Well, Marion County School District's SEL design team, we worked together to support schools as they attempted to restore a sense of well-being for our students and staff in either a face-to-face environment or a full distance learning model. We knew that it was of utmost importance that we prioritized addressing the emotional and mental well-being of our students and adults. So we are pleased. I'm pleased to share what we have done. Again, we started with training. And one of the things, and this is the actual training presentation that we used, and social and emotional learning, it's even at the very beginning, it is checking in on a person's emotional well-being. And so we started out with something as simple as this, practices that we have always done, but just making sure that they're more targeted and they're understood, and that you will see that in any classroom or in any setting, whether it's in a classroom or it is a district leadership team meeting, whether it is a meeting at the school level, checking in, and not just, hey, how are you doing, but actually helping people to be aware, because we realize that so many things happen between the time a person gets up in the morning until the time that they get to where they're going to be, whether it's school or whether it's a job or some other job. So we realize that there are several things that happen. And so with SEL, just having human peace and letting our students and just adults, and not just faculty and staff, but parents as well, bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers. Okay, let's check in. Let's see how everyone is feeling. And the good thing about doing this with our students, each lesson, the curriculum office, and we work together as well, included at the beginning of every lesson, 20 minutes for social and emotional learning activities and a focus on that. And that's for K-12. And so we're pleased with that. So this in the training is what we did, and we do with all of our trainings, just that checking in to see how we're feeling. And again, the good part is when teachers are checking in with their students, the emotional health and the emotional well-being of their students, if you see over time and from the student's response, then you know that, okay, well, I keep seeing that little Johnny is always saying that he is, he's angry or he's displaying some annoyance. The thing with that is then that teacher has that information where they can forward that information to the counselor for another level of support for Johnny. And when we think about ourselves as well, we have to make sure that we are aware of what's going on with us, what's happening with us, how am I feeling right now? And a lot of times we get up in the morning, we have a whole lot of self-talk, and it's self-talk that's not good. And so we have to make sure that we are aware that that is there, and then we have to work to turn that around. So as we go through, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Just a very basic definition of what is social and emotional learning. Please let me say, and I'm going to say this 3 times because good teachers know that we have to reiterate things. We have to say things more than 1 time. Social and emotional learning is not a program, number 1. Number 2, social and emotional learning is not a program. And number 3, social and emotional learning is not a program. It is a process through which children and adults, let's look, and it's very important for us to know again, it's not just about students and for students, it's for children and adults. A process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions. Now, if we think about, just take for a moment and let's check in briefly. From the time that you got up this morning until now, if I were to ask you, how do you feel at this exact moment? I'm not asking you how you felt yesterday or how you felt last night. How do you feel at this exact moment? We would get a lot of different responses. So understanding how we are feeling and understanding our emotion puts us in a better position to manage our emotions. If we don't ever stop and say, this is how I'm feeling right now. And once you ask yourself, how am I feeling? What are the emotions that I'm feeling right now? You're in a place where 2 ways meet. You can either own that emotion, or you can acknowledge that that emotion is there and then successfully manage that emotion. Again, so it's a process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others. And I can't say enough about the empathy for others, because in the political climate and just the climate of our society this day and time that we're in, it is of utmost importance that we show empathy for others, and not just those that look like us and they believe what we believe and they do what we do, but for others as well. Feeling and showing empathy for others, establishing and maintaining positive relationships, and lastly, making responsible decisions. Talking more about that, CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, is the premier leader. It is where we are the district's design team, where we have referenced and we have looked to for all of our information. There's tons of information if you just Google SEL. Everybody has something to say about SEL. So we have narrowed it down to the leader in SEL, all things SEL, and that would be the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, also known as CASEL. So CASEL identifies 5 different core competencies as it relates to SEL. And I love this because the first 2 are about self. And I say this all the time, if we're not aware of ourself and what's going on with self, and we're not successfully managing that, we can stop right there because we will not be successful. Teachers or parents or whoever we are, if we're not aware of self and we're not successfully managing self, there is no way that we can really help students or anyone else, because if what we're going to tell someone else about self-awareness and self-management, it should first, we should be first partakers of it. It should first work for us. And so then we're just saying empty words, you know, and doing things that are very meaningless if we're not taking that information and what we know and applying it to self first. And so CASEL begins with self-awareness and self-management. And then we move on to social awareness, because again, you really can't effectively help others if what you're saying is not evident in our lives and in how we conduct and manage ourselves as well. The 4th competency that CASEL identifies would be relationship skills, and lastly, responsible decision making. So just a little bit more about self-awareness, the ability, and I know I'm reading to you right now, but I will talk through it as well. Self-awareness, recognizing one's own emotions, thoughts, and values, and then how they influence behavior. And that's a scary place for most people to look at self. A lot of times it's so much easier to look at what someone else is doing and what someone else is not doing. And we have the prescription, we have the diagnosis, we have all of those things about somebody else. But when it comes to, you know, recognizing, and I hear this a lot, and it's something that I really try and keep in mind as well. When we're always trying to get the moat out of somebody else and there's a beam on the inside of us, we've got to first, our teachers and all of my peers in the district, including myself, we have to recognize our own emotions, our thoughts and values, and then look at how they influence our behavior. And that means that there's some things that we have to look at that have been with us forever, and they have been it's just the culture, and it's the rearing in our homes and things like that. There are experiences that have shaped our values. It's shaped our behavior and how we think about things. You know, so I really like to spend a lot of time right here when it comes to self-awareness, because our emotions, our thoughts, and the things that we value, can sometimes be strengths and limitations for us. And therefore we have to always be examining ourselves. Everybody that's viewing out there, let's just kind of say that word together. Let's examine ourselves, our emotions, what we think about people and situations, what we value, and then how they influence our behavior. There are a lot of relationships that we don't go after. We're not able to successfully establish them or successfully move in them confidently, because then we have reference points, and we have experiences, and we have things that have been with us that inhibit relationships. And I would have to be honest here, Dr. Bethea, and say myself that is an area that I have to grow in, and that I'm constantly embracing and putting myself out there to establish relationships that are good, but then to maintain them. And relationships, it takes work, whether it's a marriage, whether it is a work relationship, whether it is a teacher and a student relationship, whether it is a parent and a student relationship, whether it is a parent school district relationship. Those things take work. And so we have to start with self. What are our emotions? What are our thoughts? What do we think about relationships? What do we think about this principle or this concept? And what are the things that we value as an educator? What are the things that we value as a parent? What are the things that we value as a teacher? But then how are these things that we value and think influence our behavior? All right, and then we move on to self-management. So once we're aware of our emotions and our thoughts and our behaviors in different situations, then we're better able to effectively manage stress. I came into this position as a student services specialist, and I came with a ton of emotions and thoughts and behaviors. And so therefore, for a while, I was not able to fluently and I was not able to flow in a free way and to bring my very best self to the work of the team that Dr. Bethea had invited me to be a part of in her cabinet. I was not able to bring my best self because I had a lot of fear, I had a lot of anxiety, I had a lot of thoughts that, you know, don't let them see you sweat and that kind of stuff. And I was not my best self. And Dr. Bethea and this district, this community needed me to be my best self because it inhibited my behavior because I had this whole self-talk and I had a whole conversation about this is going to happen and that's not going to happen and they're going to think this and they're going to think that. And when we have those things going on, we are shut down and we're not able to do our best work. We're not able to motivate anybody else. Sometimes we're impulsive or sometimes we're locked down. And so once I realized that I'm not bringing my best self, I know that in this environment, I feel this way and this is the self-talk that I have. I had to start managing that and I had to get past that place. And we have to do that in our classrooms. Our teachers are asked to do that. Our administrators are asked to do that. Not only our school level administrators, but our district administrators as well. Parents, we're asking you to do that as well because sometimes you've had experiences with schools and school district. And because you've had that experience, either as a student or as the parent of a student or as an employee of the district, we've got to look at what am I thinking, there's this emotion that's coming from, what is the thought that it is grounded in so that I can pull it up and that I can be my best self. I can be the best teacher that I can be the best parent that I can be for this school district. I can be my very best. And there's a saying out there, Dr. Bethea, that says, I'm living my best life. We're not living our best life if we're not aware of our emotions, thoughts, and our behaviors and how they influence our behavior, and then we're not able to manage them. We hear all the time about how some people just eat impulsively, or they do things that are not good to their bodies on impulse, and that is not the best way to manage when we're feeling stress and things like that. And we all experience that, but we've got to know how to manage that. We have everybody, and parents, let me say, our teachers, and then you on the other end, we all have anxiety about this virtual learning, and we're relying more on technology to deliver standards-based and a quality instruction for everyone teaching and learning. So we realize that stress, and so therefore we empathize. Just know that the same stress that you're experiencing as a parent, know that some of our educators are experiencing that as well. So knowing that, now it is our responsibility as a district to do all that we can on the teaching side and on the learning side, on the employee side and on the parent side and the community side as well, to help alleviate some of that anxiety and stress. And not take to Facebook so much and air our anxieties, but let us know what we can do as a district to make it better. But we're always, because we are a thinking district, we're a proactive district, and we're responsive to your needs as well. We're always engaged. Our mind is always thinking about what can we do to make it better. Number one, for myself, how can I be better? How can we be better as a district to serve our students and our families? And then how can we make it better for them as well? Moving on, and that takes into social awareness with that empathy and being able to empathize with our parents and empathize with our teachers and our peers and our colleagues. And not only that, to be able to empathize with the movements that we have going on, racial inequality, culturally sensitive practices, culturally competent educational practices that we bring into our classrooms, ethical norms for behavior, understanding and really having a desire to understand the diverse backgrounds and cultures that we serve in our district, in terms of our parents and students, and also our teaching staff as well. Here we go again with that relationship skill, communication, being able to effectively communicate, and teamwork. I've got to say a little bit about this as well. That teamwork there's a saying, teamwork makes the dream work, but we've got to make sure that, you know, there are individuals that make up a team. And when we have individuals who are not aware of their emotions, thoughts, and behaviors and how to manage them in a teamwork, then we don't get the best out of the team. And so parents, you're a part of our team. We're at Marion County School District. Our parents, our community and business partners, we are a team, and we're educating, we're working together as a team to educate the whole child. And in the process, we've got to learn some things as well about how we can be the best in this team. And the last core competency that CASEL identifies is responsible decision making, and making constructive choices about our personal behavior and social interactions. Safety concerns, that is a concern. We know that in South Carolina, we do have masks that we're supposed to wear. We are to wear them in our district as well. And so someone else may not share that concern and may not choose to make that decision, the responsible thing to wear their mask. But we've got to say that that is when we're doing what we're supposed to do, and that and I know I'm stepping in something right here. I won't talk about it long, Dr. Bethea, and I'm going to step out of a minute. If we're not concerned for ourselves, we have to be concerned for others. And so we do have Mr. Leon Sturkey and Mr. Al Blank, that team, the operations department. They talked last week about the safety measures that we have put in place for Marion County School District. And we have to make sure, so when we come in our buildings, we have to take our temperatures every morning. And when we sign in, we're indicating that, yes, I've taken this temperature and I've used the sanitizing station as well. That's a responsible decision that we have to make as employees of Marion County School District every day. So let's get to some of the design team recommendations that were made in terms of social and emotional learning. And so again, this team, we just started brainstorming. Are we still there, Dr. Bethea?
We are, Ms. Rush. I'm
okay.
actually outside, Ms. Rush. I don't know if I mentioned that. We're having leap day today in Marion County School District. So I'm out doing school visits. So I'm actually outside of one of our schools, and the unit keeps coming on and our parents keep coming up. So I keep putting my device on mute. But you
okay, all right. I was just talking, and I didn't.
You are good.
Okay, so we started out, the team members that I mentioned earlier, we started out just brainstorming ideas, brainstorming. And so then in some of my research for CASEL, they had 4 critical practices. And so the practices did not happen before the brainstorming. The brainstorming happened first. And it's important for me to say that because I don't want you to think that we just copied information from anywhere. We did our research. Yes, we did. But then I want to say that we brainstormed a lot of ideas. So once we brainstormed those ideas, I went back and I looked, and it was at that point in time that I saw that CASEL had practices. So we went back and we bulleted each of our brainstorm ideas under those 4 critical practices so that we can give some structure and organization to it. And so that is what you're going to see right now. And the 4 critical practices, critical practice 1 was take time to cultivate and deepen relationships, build partnerships, and plan for SEL. And so under that, you'll see where it says that foster new relationships that elevate student and family voice. So what we have done, one thing I'm really excited that this team made this recommendation is for each student in Marion County School District has been assigned a mentor within the school. And so we're really excited about that. So we have a dual thing going on here is we have those mentors assigned to the students. We're both working, there's a dual thing that's happening here because that mentor is working with the students, checking in and just developing that relationship with our students. But also we know that something good is happening for our adult mentors as well. We are certain that they are, constantly looking at their thoughts, emotions, and behavior as well so that they can effectively mentor our students. One of the other things was to use two-way communication strategies. We've had, did a lot of work with making sure we know where our students are. Just this morning, I emailed a parent, and yes, district administrators, we make phone calls to parents. We touch base with parents as well. We're not just asking schools to touch base with parents and students. We do it here at the district level as well. And so we're going to over communicate because we know that with a transition to a virtual and remote learning environment, we've got to stay in touch and know where our students are. It's not okay that over the summer, from March up until June, statewide, there were 16,000 students that could not be accounted for. We don't want that for Marion County School District, and we're not going to have that. So we have a tiered system in place where we're making phone calls every week. The mentor is making a phone call, the principal's making a phone call, the teacher, we're not just putting it on the teacher is making a phone call. And after a certain number of days, if we cannot find that student or reach that student, we have our attendance supervisor, Mr. Jimmy Vereen, who works out of he and our Makeup Student Services. He's going and doing home visits as safe for him and as appropriate to make sure that we're able to locate our students. The thing that concerned me this summer was with those students that we could not locate, and even the ones that we could, what's going on with our students. We know that some may be experiencing some unpleasant things. We don't want that to happen. We want to be able to give students a voice to say, hey, I need help. We want to be able to say to parents, hey, what can we do to help you? Because the stress of all this, we understand that. And so those are some things that we have in place as well, just the constant phone calls and the constant reminder using Class Dojo. Those are the things make up Castle 1, Practice 1. Critical Practice 2 was to—
Excuse me, Ms. Rush.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Ms. Rush, I know that you mentioned that we were seeing something. Should we be seeing a PowerPoint, or are you talking off your PowerPoint?
You should be seeing a PowerPoint.
We are not, Ms. Rush.
All right, well, let's get it going. See it.
You are fine, but when you just made that comment, I was like, we're not seeing the PowerPoint.
Wow, for any of it?
No, but we've been enjoying you, but you've been referring to it, but we
Hey, you're supposed to stop me earlier. That was my mistake. Okay. Tell me if you're seeing it now.
We are seeing it. And what will happen, Ms. Rush, after this, even though TableTalk will post, Ms. Weberly will also post this PowerPoint to our district site as well as what the normal protocol. So thank
Okay,
you.
fantastic. I wish I'd known this earlier. I'm just talking.
You have been.
Okay. All right. Can you see that one now, the Castle Critical Practices?
We can.
All right, fantastic. I'm surprised I didn't get a text from anybody out there in YouTube land. So we're going to So Castle Critical Practice 2 allows space for connection and healing among adults. And just those weekly check-ins with staff meetings. We have encouraged accountability partners for our adults as well. I have an accountability partner because I set a goal for myself, and Principal Stacy Wilbanks is my accountability partner. And so just having that person where we can talk to and just kind of lean on as we're all navigating through this uncertain territory. Ensuring access to mental health and trauma, and identifying opportunities for innovation and anti-racist practices, and provide embedded professional learning. I do want to say about the embedded professional learning, Safe Schools is the online curriculum that we're using for our adults to receive training as it relates to student wellness, mental health, cultural competency, racial inequality, and how we have to make sure that we are aware of these things and that we are not a part of them in the negative sense. So we've had 3 online sessions that faculty, Marion County School District, faculty and staff, everyone has participated in So we're excited about that as well. So the professional learning is ongoing. Castle Critical Practice 3, I'm building adult and student and peer relationships. Here we are again with that mentoring and check-in and check-out. Weaving in opportunities for SEL practice and reflection. Again, we've mentioned the weekly lesson plans, a comprehensive system of supports. We have clinical counselors, we have RBHS, we have our school counselors and school psychologists as well to be a part of that system of support for our students. And Parent University, just to mention that briefly again, just with supporting our parents with the technology, that's coming really soon. We know that our virtual academy under the direction of Mr. Adrian Johnson, as well as Ms. Melanie Gordon, who's our instructional technology friend, that they have put some things in a newsletter and as it relates to technology and access and usage. So we're excited about that, but here's another level of support that's coming with the Parent University. And then one of the last Castle Critical Practice was use data. And so when we hear from you parents, take that data and we use it to make it better. We want to know how we can make it better for you and our students and our community as well. So we are utilizing that data to make sure that we are responding to your needs as well. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen. And I think I have talked enough at this point in time, Dr. Bethea, as it relates to EL. However, I would be delighted if there are questions from anyone. I certainly would be delighted to, if you give the district office, I can be reached here at the district office or via email. And that would be mrush@marion.k12.sc.us. If you just call the district office, Ms. Diane Hopper will definitely make sure that she gets that phone call to me. That I really like to do, I really like to make sure that I am supporting our parents, our students, and also our colleagues as well, in a way that is helpful and they don't have to run me down. I like to be there. I don't like to look at the phone and see who's calling. I like to answer the phone because if you're calling me, I feel like you needed me yesterday. And so I try to be responsive in that way to you as well. If you need something, I want to put down what I'm doing so that I can take care of your needs. And where we are, and not just for where we are right now, but that's just my conviction, making sure that we support one another. Dr. Bethea, I've enjoyed talking with our guests this morning, our viewers, about social and emotional learning, and just speaking on behalf of a team of 12 people. Thank you for allowing me to do that this morning.
Absolutely. Ms. Rush, you have covered excellent information. So often we think about the academics and student achievement and all of those accountability factors, but just not taking enough attention to the social emotional factors. And I'm glad that you emphasize that it's not just for children, it's also for the adults too, making sure that we as leaders, as teachers, we're in the right mindset and frame of mind to be able to help our students. And so great information. Viewers, this PowerPoint will be posted to the district webpage as well. Please reach out to Ms. Rush. She's given her email address. Thank you. You are using the TableTalk as well if you have questions, and some parents have also submitted topics that they want to see on TableTalk. I want to thank you for that. Parents, every opportunity I get, I just want to say thank you for your patience during this entire pandemic. It has been a lot that has changed, a lot of our procedures and practices, and you have truly adapted. Parents too, I want you to make sure you listen to Mrs. Rush, making sure that you're taking time for self too, because you too need to be in the right mind frame and have well-being to help us take care of your children. Ms. Rush, great information. Thank you for being on TableTalk. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.